Thanks so much for joining me here, man.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
So why don't you give the audience just a little bit of background details on who you are? Where are you based and what do you do? Family, all that good stuff.
Well, I'm out of Airdrie, Alberta, Canada.
Woo woo,
I
Canada.
Yeah, let's go. I was originally born in BC. Go Canucks. Yeah.
Hey, okay, I
My
won't hold that against you.
Yeah. I mean, my dad instilled that in me in a very young age, and so that's carried with me forward for a very long time. Um,
Nice.
I am a pastor part-time, and then the rest of the time I take care of my kids. And have been married for 17 years, and I have two boys. One is 9 and one is 4. Um,
Did you say you've been married for 17 years?
yeah, it's been a
How old
long
were you when
time.
you got married?
I was 20.
Sheesh, man.
Yeah,
Okay, that's great. I was gonna say there's no way. I figured you and I were similar ages. That's really cool.
yeah.
Okay, tell me a little bit about kind of the lead up to joining Deep Clean, and maybe I'll just jump right into it. But what was kind of the worst moment leading up to it? What was your rock bottom that led you here?
I mean, there were a lot of rock bottom moments for me. Um, I think trying to do a lot of this myself and it wasn't working. Um, for me, a rock bottom was facing the reality that I had hurt my wife pretty deeply in my actions, in some of the things that I was doing, was saying, and a lot of it was just fueled by pornography. I had dealt with migraines for a lot of my life, and part of that constant pain in my head was my brain was essentially, I don't know, probably 30 seconds, a minute behind the reaction time that everybody else normally would have. And
Wow.
now being not, I'm on medication now that has really changed my life in terms of that too. But being able to see the reaction time catch up, and not to react in those p- points of pain and fogginess, to look back and be like, oh man, I was horrible to my wife and to my kids,
Hmm.
and to react so poorly. And there's points where I treated them poorly and treated her significantly poorly. And so much of it was also just so fueled by my pornography and my viewing of that, um, and just how I viewed her as a person. I mean, I grew up in purity culture, and how that taught me to view myself as just that mentality of like, you're a monster, you can never get over this. Um, that was what I took out of it. Like, I don't think that was
Yeah.
the aim or the goal of it, necessarily, but that, you know, once you got on kind of a lustful thought train, there was no way to get off. And that was the view that it taught me. And so to like get that moment and have it just take off. Yeah. So many things that were
Yeah.
rock bottom moments, that just led me to a desperation, really, of I didn't know where to go.
Yeah. Yeah. You got married very young. I'm gonna
Yeah,
guess that your wife didn't know about this part of your life going into marriage.
she actually did.
Okay.
So we had
Well,
talked.
that's impressive.
Um, I told her about it when we were dating, and we at points she actually was like my accountability partner. Um, that was a terrible decision,
Yeah.
and a lot of broken trust, honestly,
Hmm.
through that decision. That was a really poor decision, and that is a lot of. the stuff that I'm working to rebuild today, because of just her having to filter things and block websites and the traditional accountability that, you know,
Yeah.
that purity culture would teach you, or other methods of trying to defeat pornography would teach you, and that ultimately never worked.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say, for me personally, it's been a real treat just having you in the community, and we were saying this before we hit record, but I've been able to kind of see more of your journey than maybe the typical client, just because I think you've been on almost every group call I've run since joining our community. So it's just been fun to see your development, your progression. And this is one of my favorite things about the work we do, but I feel like you even look a bit different. I can just see the kind of the change in your face and your countenance and the way you've been handling yourself on calls and all that kind of stuff. Can you just tell us a little bit about how your life looks different these days since completing the program?
Oh, man, it's wildly different. I honestly, I think if it wasn't for the grace of Jesus, I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am today. I've made some notes because I'm gonna forget all sorts of things, but there was one point, honestly, the last slip that I had, that felt just different. It felt like the fuel, um, towards freedom. That from that was going to be like the last relapse that I was going to have.
Hmm.
It felt like it felt gross and it felt wrong, um, in a way that was like, okay, this is it. I'm done with. And it, like, sometimes, when we'll kind of know in pornography usage that, like, you get stuck in there for a long time, and that one was like, I don't know, minutes, and it was done.
Hmm.
And I was like, that's it. I'm done. Like, I'm just done.
Come on. Yeah.
And Jesus kind of impressed upon my heart that it was like, no, this is it. Like, you're just done.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel like I've brought my I was thinking about this morning. It was like, I brought my loaves and fishes to the table, and he's gonna multiply it, right? Is
Hmm.
that story of the boy bringing his loaves, and Jesus multiplied it into to feeding the 5,000.
Yeah.
Um, and so much before this, like, I've tried to do it on my own. I've tried to, white knuckle it. Like, I did it for a year. I white knuckled it and found the cracks, and now it's like, it's not. I'm not even, like, so much of the time I'm not even thinking about it. I'm not even trying, because we've done the work. We've dug deep. We've gone through, honestly, so much pain, to get to this point, and to be, honestly, like you were pointing out, I just feel different. I feel like a different person. Like, um, I feel like Jesus, Jesus has, uh, just turned the soil in in my heart. Um, I get up at like 6 a.m. in the morning intentionally to sit and read my Bible, and um, sit with him and pray, uh, just because I want to.
Hmm.
Uh, it just, I've never, I've been a pastor for a long time. I've never done that. Like, I've sat and read my Bible and prayed and done all these things. Like, I do that, but I've never gotten up early intentionally to sit and just be that way. And,
Wow.
like, it's not because the program told me to. It's not because, this was like, this is something you need to do. It's like, no, I think this is important. It's something I
Hmm.
want to do because of the change that has happened in my life through what Jesus has been doing. And it's
Yeah.
cool. It's, like, if you would look at me 6 months ago or 10 years ago, you would not recognize me. It's
Hmm.
crazy. I was looking at my driver's license photo because I was applying for a passport, and I was like, "Who is that guy?"
Yeah, well, I've witnessed that myself for sure. And you've shared some really cool stories. You know, we always start our group coaching calls with wins. And you shared one win. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about this. You shared a win post Thanksgiving. I think it was probably the first group call after Thanksgiving. You mentioned a conversation that with somebody who, you know, typically the conversations can be challenging, can be really triggering. And just the way you shared about kind of the difference in your response, I think that was one of the first moments for me where I realized, oh wow, something really cool is happening in Matt. Just share that story a little bit.
My brother is going through a lot, some challenging times where it really seems like he is turning his life around in some ways, coming back to the Lord, um, and in some ways has a lot of the same behaviors as he did before. Um, and it's a challenging conversation to have with him because you can talk with him and have that conversation, and whether you ask him if it's real or not, he'll give you the same response. Like he could give you the response of course it's real, um, and you get the same response either way. And for me, it's just you have to wade into a really difficult conversation and just um, I guess having these conversations. How do you phrase it? Um, can be really tough uh, because they're your family and you really want to believe them, and but at the same time, he's having the same behaviors, and so you just I don't know. It's really difficult to um, understand where they're coming from at the same
Mm.
time, and um, I guess for me, it's you. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it totally. Um, sorry, I'm sometimes bad
No,
on
that's fine.
on the spot, but
No, that's fine. No, I mean, my recollection is I think you just you had talked about how in previous times, like it was triggering, it was dysregulating.
mm,
Often it would lead to kind of that downward spiral, but you found a way to just. I think you said you got out of the room, you paced, you regulated. I just thought it was a cool
right,
example.
yeah,
I'll ask you a
yeah.
follow up question about that a little bit later. So I know one thing that people are probably wondering is, has there been a change in your marriage? You know, you mentioned in your rock bottom moments not treating your wife the way you wanted to, not treating your kids the way you wanted to. What changes have happened in those areas?
For me, I feel things really deeply, and so not being super aware previously of my emotions and being able to control them or that kind of stuff has led to outbursts or anger before.
Hmm.
And as I've been able to understand what I'm feeling and regulate, I've been able to just take a step back and take a moment in those moments where I've felt overwhelmed or um, just taken aback by something that's happened and been able to just step and say, you know what, this is not that big of a deal. You know, you say often I'm making a level 10 out of a level 2 situation.
Hmm.
And just taking that moment to say, actually, this is not that big of a deal. And taking a moment to say, okay, let's take a step, take a deep breath, and just calmly step through the situation. Um,
Hmm.
Both my kids and my wife have made comments about the calmness in my demeanor,
Wow.
as opposed to the reactiveness
Hmm.
in my demeanor, which I would have previously had before.
Hmm.
And so it's amazing to to see just the comments about that. It kind of my oldest son, this hurt at the time, but then you go back and think about this is like, oh, this is actually really a good thing. But he made a comment, he's like, doesn't want to think about the times before, because of how they were as much, but it also points to like he's feeling more safe and comfortable now
Yes.
because it's different now. And
Yeah.
so it's like there isn't he's showing that there's more safety, and there's more um, ability for him to voice, hey, I'm okay now, and I feel safe now,
Hmm.
versus before when there was yelling, or there was easily angered or easily upset because I just couldn't regulate myself or anything like that.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It's so good, man. What were some of the big concepts that you learned in deep clean that led you to this kind of transformation in your life?
I think first off, journaling was huge. That that helped me to just label emotions, that helped me to be able to understand what I was feeling, because like I said before, I felt things really deeply, but it was just an overwhelming sense of I was overwhelmed but didn't know what I could
Hmm.
do about it. And to be able to put actual names to the things I was feeling was huge. And then to be able to then also come up with like the red zone, green zone plan, man, that kicked my butt. It took me forever to come up with it, but once I did, it was so effective to first off just be able to take a breath, and then come to the actual plan and be like, okay, right now in this moment, I've got 5 minutes. I'm just going to think about this scripture that really specifically speaks to the rejection I'm feeling right now.
Hmm.
Or to, I've got actually an hour. I'm going to go and play this game with my kids that makes me feel connected to them, or whatever that thing on my plan was that really made me feel like this was part of my plan.
Hmm.
And so just to have those things in place, like I've got a note on my phone with all these 20 sets of verses that are labeled specifically for the emotion that I feel, or the lie that
Wow.
it defeats. Because it's not always practical to go flipping through my Bible to find that in that
Yes.
moment. But I've got this note on my phone that has those same verses that are highlighted in my Bible, in a note on my phone that I can go to in 15 seconds and be okay, this is the verse for this moment
Yes.
right now.
Yes. Yeah, you did all the work preemptively so that in those moments you don't have to go do the work or make a decision. It's just there. So I love that.
Yeah.
One thing that is unique about your story, or maybe just not true for everybody that goes through our program, is that you did Inner Circle first.
Yeah,
You actually read the book first. Is that right?
I
You read the
did.
book
Yeah.
first?
I
Yeah.
was working through, I found you on Instagram, and was messaging you and just couldn't do it at the time. And so you sent me your book, and then I was reading your book after I read a few other books on getting rid of porn, and was reading your book, and then you would open the inner circle. I was like, yeah, you know what? Now's the time. Like I can do that. And so I signed up for inner circle first. Um,
Yes.
yeah.
So what would you say to someone who maybe is exploring what we're up to here? They're aware of Inner Circle, they're aware of Signature, and they're trying to kind of understand, I guess, maybe what the right match is for them. You were in both programs, and
Yeah.
how would you describe the difference between the two?
I think inner circle has a lot of benefits to someone who feels driven on their own, and can really pace themselves to uh, find their own pace to get through stuff. And I mean, there's still calls with you and a lot of stuff they have access to in that way. It's more self-driven. So if you find that you can be motivated that way, I think that's really good, and it's definitely much less um, or much more effective for someone that maybe the cost of signature is just not achievable for them right now.
Yep. Yep. And so yeah. So more self-driven. What would you say were the biggest benefits of doing signature specifically for you?
For me, it was, I think I can be less self-motivated. And so having Sean tell me, hey, you got to get this much done this week. Sometimes I felt a little overwhelming, and sometimes I was like, no, I got to get it done.
Hmm.
And when it was a little trickier, I mean, he had so much grace. Um, there was, I spent, I think, an entire week, like I said, on the red zone, green zone plan because I felt it was important and it was hard.
Yeah.
And I needed to get it done,
Yep.
and to do it effectively. And I think the benefits outweighed the time spent. And so there was a lot in that, but I think the both in both cases, like the community was huge. That the the guys that you can interact with and build friendships with, like the it was an invaluable resource to my journey and my recovery.
Hmm.
And I think the one-on-one coaching with Coach Sean, in my case, and I'm sure Matt's awesome as well. But the insights and the way he's able to point out things that you just didn't think about, um, just blew my mind a few times. Just like I'm just sitting here thinking, it's like I don't know how you ever thought of that, and now I have to go and just think for 3 days because I don't know what, like, I've got no words right now.
Yeah.
You said that in the first 5 minutes, and I don't know what I'm going to do for the rest of this call. Just I'm thinking about what you just said.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Sean is sharp. He's razor sharp.
yeah,
So for somebody who's on the fence, okay, they're exploring it, they're thinking about it. Maybe like you, they've had a rock bottom moment that's brought them to this place of
yeah.
despair or at least motivation, to do something different, to really make a difference in their life. What would be your words of wisdom to somebody in that position, Matt?
I mean, don't do it alone. Like, it's not it's not worth doing it alone. Um, I did it for years and years and years, and it got me nowhere. Um, get yourself someone to come alongside you. Reach out to Cynthia and see how he can partner with you. Like, um, there's ways around the cost, um, that have been super helpful. The inner circle is it's not that expensive, um, when you can make the sacrifice to do it. Uh, it's worth it. Like, it's worth the freedom to put in the sacrifice for the time. I can't stress that enough. It's just worth it. Like,
Come on. Awesome. When you think about life without pornography, living in freedom, what are you the most excited about?
um, I would have to say that just a rebuilt trust with my wife and my kids.
Hmm. Yeah. Come on. Matt, thanks for your transparency. Thanks for the bravery to share your story today, man. And thanks for taking some time. We appreciate it.
Of course, it was my pleasure. I appreciate you taking the time to do this with me.